Hi Cougars, in this video I want to go over the teacher notes for chapter 1. So you see up here I got some color coding going on. First part is just some definitions, be able to define and identify those. There's a ton of practice in the book and I don't want to waste your time reading you definitions. It's very straightforward. Next is the scientific method. There are some definitions in this little section too, law and theory. And again, for scientific method, I just want you to be able to identify parts of it. So like if I give you a statement, you tell me, is it an observation? Is it a hypothesis, etc.? And or be able to relate it to a real life scenario. So if I give you a real life scenario, you should be able to tell me which parts of that are which parts of the scientific method. Next are these key math skills, and it's really just identifying place values in this little section. So in this number 1234.567, I've identified the place values here. So the 1 is the thousands, that place value. 2 is the hundreds, etc. And doing this just helps you determine the number of significant figures. Super easy. There's also a section in the book on positive and negative numbers and calculations. Just use the calculator. You're going to be able to use it for every single calculation. So don't worry about like getting hung up on positive and negative. It might have been a long time since you had a math class, but really it's just use the calculator. If it's a negative number, use the negative key. And next, calculating percentages. This is a super, super important skill. But it's also very simple, and a lot of students overcomplicate this, and I haven't figured that out yet, why that is, but you have to be able to do this to be able to solve problems. We're going to use it all semester, which is why it's underlined in red. The formula is part divided by whole times 100 to make it a percent. The unit here is percent. So, for example, let's say your test is 50 points, you get 45 points out of the 50. What percentage is your score? 45 divided by 50 times 100. You got a dozen donuts, 12 donuts. You ate 5 of them. What percentage of donuts did you eat? 5 divided by 12 times 100. All right, so that's a super important formula, but it's also very simple. Next, solving equations. I underlined that in red because you're going to use it all semester too, but it's also very simple. You just have to be able to solve for one variable in this class. 5x plus 2 equals, I don't know, 20. What is x? Okay, just that simple. No x and y, none of that. Just be able to solve for one variable. Next, interpreting graphs. All you have to be able to do for that is answer basic questions about the graph, and it's going to be no harder or different than the practice homework. And last, scientific notation. We use scientific notation in chemistry all the time. That's why it's underlined in red. It's very, very important. It's no different than what you learned in middle or high school. We use numbers in scientific notation in chemistry because we deal with very, very, very small numbers and very, very, very large numbers. And so we convert it to scientific notation to make it easier. And that's why I have that defined over here to the right. We use this because it's easier when dealing with large and small numbers. For this last part of this chapter, you need to be able to convert numbers to and from scientific notation, and you need to be able to enter numbers in scientific notation in your calculator. There's a ton of practice on this in the textbook, and you'll also see it in your homework. Any questions, please send me an email. I'm happy to help. And that's chapter 1.